Every 4 years, the world seems to stop. Schools pause their lessons. Offices become unusually quiet. Families gather around television screens, while millions fill stadiums with songs, flags, and endless hope. For one extraordinary month, billions of people from every corner of the globe share the same dream. The FIFA World Cup is more than a football tournament. It is a celebration of humanity, passion, heartbreak, and history. It is where unknown players become global legends, where underdogs shock the world, and where a single goal can unite an entire nation. This is the story of the greatest sporting event ever created. This is the story of the FIFA World Cup. Long before the World Cup existed, international football looked very different. In the early 1900s, football was already becoming the world's favorite sport. Countries across Europe and South America played friendly matches, but there was no true global championship. At the time, the Olympic Games hosted football competitions. However, professional players were not allowed to participate, making it impossible to determine the world's best team. One man believed football deserved something greater. His name was Jules Rimet. Rimet dreamed of creating a tournament where every nation, regardless of size or wealth, could compete for one prize and one title. Many people thought his idea was impossible. Travel was slow, the world economy was struggling, and international politics made cooperation difficult. But Rimet refused to give up. In 1930, after years of planning, the impossible became reality. The very first FIFA World Cup was born. The honor of hosting the first tournament went to Uruguay. It was a fitting choice. Uruguay had just won 2 Olympic football gold medals and was celebrating the 100th anniversary of its constitution. However, getting there was far from easy. There were no long-distance commercial flights. European teams had to travel across the Atlantic Ocean by ship, a journey that lasted nearly 2 weeks. Because of the long trip and the cost, many countries chose not to participate. In the end, only 13 nations entered the tournament. No qualification rounds, no giant stadiums filled with modern technology. Just pure football. Despite its modest beginnings, history was being written. The opening matches marked the beginning of a competition that would one day become the biggest sporting event on Earth. The final was played in Montevideo. Uruguay faced neighboring Argentina in front of nearly 70,000 passionate supporters. After 90 unforgettable minutes, Uruguay won 4-2, becoming the first FIFA World Cup champions. No one realized it at the time, but a legend had just begun. The years that followed brought enormous challenges. The world entered one of the darkest periods in human history. World War II forced the cancellation of the 1942 and 1946 World Cups. For 12 long years, there was no global football championship. Many wondered if the tournament would ever return. But football had become too important, too powerful, too meaningful. In 1950, after the war ended, the World Cup returned in Brazil. It became a symbol of hope, a reminder that even after unimaginable destruction, nations could come together through sport instead of conflict. The tournament was no longer just about winning. It had become a language understood by the entire world. As the decades passed, the World Cup grew larger. More countries joined. More fans watched. New heroes emerged. Every generation produced players capable of changing history with a single moment of brilliance. Some inspired millions with breathtaking skill. Others became symbols of determination, leadership, and national pride. Children everywhere dreamed of wearing their country's colors on football's biggest stage. Because in the World Cup, one magical tournament could transform an ordinary athlete into an immortal legend. Narrator pause. But as football entered a new era, one young Brazilian would change the sport forever. And the World Cup would never be the same again. In 1958, the football world witnessed something extraordinary. A quiet, 17-year-old boy from Brazil stepped onto the biggest stage in sports. His name was Pelé. Few people expected the teenager to change football forever. But with incredible speed, dazzling skill, and remarkable confidence, Pelé led Brazil to its first ever FIFA World Cup title. He scored 6 goals in the tournament, including 2 unforgettable goals in the final against Sweden. At just 17 years old, he became a global icon overnight. 4 years later, Brazil defended its title in Chile, proving that their success was no accident. Then, in 1970, Pelé returned for one final World Cup. Leading one of the greatest teams in football history, Brazil defeated Italy 4-1 in the final. Their attacking style, creativity, and teamwork amazed millions around the world. With that victory, Pelé became the only player in history to win 3 FIFA World Cups. His legacy would inspire generations of footballers across every continent. By the 1970s and 1980s, the World Cup had transformed into far more than a sporting event. Television broadcasts brought every match into millions of homes. Fans from different cultures celebrated together. Children skipped outside to imitate their favorite players. Every 4 years, the tournament united people through a shared love of football. Host nations invested in magnificent stadiums. Opening ceremonies became grander. The atmosphere grew louder, brighter, and more emotional than ever before. The FIFA World Cup had become the most watched sporting event on Earth. Then came the summer of 1986. Mexico hosted one of the most unforgettable tournaments in football history. At its center stood one extraordinary player, Diego Maradona. Small in stature, but immense in talent, Maradona carried Argentina through the tournament with performances that are still talked about today. In the quarterfinal against England, he scored 2 of the most famous goals ever witnessed. The first became known as the Hand of God, a controversial goal that sparked debate around the world. Just minutes later, Maradona produced something completely different. He dribbled past 5 English players before calmly scoring what FIFA would later call the goal of the century. 2 goals, 1 match. 2 completely different reasons why football can be so unforgettable. Argentina went on to win the World Cup, and Maradona cemented his place among the greatest players in history. The 1990s and early 2000s brought dramatic changes. New technology improved broadcasting. High-definition cameras captured every tackle, every save, and every celebration. The tournament expanded to include more nations, giving countries from Africa, Asia, and North America greater opportunities to compete on football's biggest stage. The World Cup was no longer dominated by just a handful of traditional powers. New stories emerged, new heroes appeared, and every tournament delivered unforgettable surprises. The game had become faster, the players stronger, the competition tougher than ever before. Yet one thing never changed. Every child watching dreamed of lifting the golden trophy. As the world entered the 21st century, football entered its greatest rivalry. Two players would dominate an entire generation. Two legends, two different styles, and one endless debate that divided football fans across the globe. Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo. The 21st century introduced football fans to one of the greatest rivalries in sports history. On one side stood Cristiano Ronaldo, a symbol of discipline, power, and relentless determination. On the other was Lionel Messi, a master of creativity, vision, and breathtaking skill. For more than 15 years, they dominated world football, winning countless trophies and breaking records that once seemed impossible. Yet, despite all their success at club level, one prize remained the ultimate dream: the FIFA World Cup. For Ronaldo, the tournament brought unforgettable moments, but never the trophy he desired most. For Messi, the journey was filled with both triumph and heartbreak. He reached the 2014 World Cup final, only to watch Germany claim victory after extra time. Many believed his chance had slipped away forever. But football has a remarkable way of writing unforgettable endings. In 2022, the FIFA World Cup arrived in Qatar, becoming the first tournament ever held in the Middle East. The competition delivered shock after shock. Underdogs defeated giants. New stars announced themselves to the world. And every match reminded fans why the World Cup is unlike any other sporting event. Then came the final. Argentina versus France. It quickly became one of the greatest football matches ever played. Lionel Messi inspired Argentina with a magnificent performance. But France, led by the incredible Kylian Mbappé, refused to surrender. The match ended in a dramatic penalty shootout after an unforgettable 3-3 draw. When the final penalty was converted, generations of hope turned into reality. Lionel Messi had finally lifted the FIFA World Cup. One of football's greatest stories had reached its perfect conclusion. The World Cup is not simply about goals or championships. It is about memories. A child celebrating their country's first victory. Families gathering around a television. Strangers embracing after a dramatic last-minute goal. For 1 month, differences of language, culture, and geography seem to disappear. Football becomes a universal language. Whether a nation wins or loses, millions of people share the same emotions. Joy, hope, heartbreak, pride. That is the true power of the FIFA World Cup. The tournament continues to evolve. More nations now have the opportunity to compete. New stadiums, advanced technology, and innovations like goal line technology and VAR have changed how the game is played and officiated. Yet the essence of the World Cup remains unchanged. 22 players, one ball, 90 minutes, and the hopes of entire nations resting on every pass, every save, and every goal. As new generations of footballers rise, fresh legends will be born. Records will be broken. dreams will come true, and somewhere in the crowd, another young child will watch the World Cup for the very first time, believing that one day they too could stand on football's greatest stage, and the hopes of entire nations resting on every pass, every save, and every goal. As new generations of footballers rise, fresh legends will be born, records will be broken, dreams will come true, and somewhere in the crowd, another young child will watch the World Cup for the very first time, believing that one day they too could stand on football's greatest stage,